Good morning. It is the Going On Daily Live morning show. This is going to be one for the ages. I know it deep down inside. I know this. I'm your host, Ron Rigo. I've got Tony Jones in the house. Tony, when we're on together, I always feel underdressed.
I woke up early today. I found the old blazer, the old used car salesman blazer, and the ugliest tie I could potentially find to be on here today. So I am ready and rearing to go.
We've got oh, this is going to be so fun. Season 2, episode 103 already. It's
Wow.
just June. Dust in the Wind is the name of the episode. And if you know me, these titles have something to do with the show, and I cannot wait. It's probably already given away right here. We're going to be talking some TV and a lot of it today because we both have TV segments. So it's going to kind of blend into one. I've got at the box office, so the latest and greatest of the box office, and give you some updates on what's coming up and what I've seen this year. So, and then of course, we have to have our little health stuff, right? Got to have that, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be.
All the above.
A little bit of both. We've got that for you as well. Tony, what I do want to start off with is not even on this list or anything. What's your take on this? The guy with the Molotov cocktails in Denver. Have you seen this?
That was I watched the full stream of it out of just morbid curiosity, and it really was like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Seeing that guy there with no shirt, and some of my best friends and business partners are Jewish, and they are increasingly afraid to leave the house, and it's just what a time in history, and a depressing time in history.
I was reading an article, and there was somebody that was injured in this. That was a Holocaust survivor. Like, could you imagine? Like, how could this be
Think about
happening
that for a
again?
second.
It's Tony. It's just so frustrating seeing all of this. People are people. Okay, I don't care what color you are, what religion you are. Look, people are people. And
Yeah.
I don't care what you
Listen, I
follow.
take it a step further than that, and I don't care what your addiction of choice is, even. And same thing. I don't care who is in your bedroom. I don't care what color
Right.
you are. I don't care what country you came from. It is all the same
I
to me.
have friends across the board, probably in every ethnic background, every sexual preference background. It doesn't matter to me. It
As Dusty Road famously said, I've dined with kings and queens, and I've dined on pork and beans.
yes, that's about as best as you can say it, right? And we go through this every week, almost every day. There seems to be some sort of spotlight on something negative towards somebody,
Yeah.
and it is so frustrating. And I know it's not even, this isn't part of what we were going to talk about today, but we have so much lighthearted stuff coming up. I think it had to be addressed. It's not like we're not trying to put out the news, but we don't have a stake in this negative stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, we have some stories that are pretty deep and heavy and negative and stuff like that, but it's so frustrating, Tony. It just really is. And I might add also, we lost, I can't think of her name offhand, but she played Hot Lips Houlihan on MASH. Loretta Swit. So we lost Loretta Swit, and I mean that's part of my past, right? I mean,
Yeah,
MASH. I mean, that's big. That's a big one.
the show.
So rest in peace, Loretta. Um, Condolences to the family and friends, of course. Um, it's so now that the negative news is out, we got lots of social media, and you folks should be tuning in. So you can watch us live right here at RI Broadcasting for Facebook. Don't forget, send out some stars. Actually, I don't know if I want to send out stars. Not with my account the way it is.
Uh-oh.
So don't send the stars. Don't send the stars.
Send them straight to Zuckerberg.
Yeah, you might as well, because he's the only one that collects it. You can watch us live also on Kick and YouTube at Rhode Island Broadcasting. So don't forget to do that. And while you're on YouTube, don't forget to click that little bell. Click that little bell so you always know we are going live. And of course, if you want to help, you can also watch us live on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. There, you can send us bits. Send us all the bits you can. Keep this thing going. Make sure that these lights stay on. They are on. So that's good. So make sure you do that. We got to keep our hosts happy. We have probably the best crew in the history of morning shows. Best crew.
And listen, if people send more bits and more stars, maybe I could afford a better looking blazer. So think about that for a second.
Maybe I can buy a blazer. This is like the best shirt I own.
Straight out of the laundry pile.
Yeah, so get on that. You can also follow us on MeWe, TikTok, Blue Sky, Space. Hey, that new MySpace thing looks just like it. You can follow all of those at RI Broadcasting, but the main one, Patreon, you can get the merch there. Like this fantastic mug, stickers, pens, coasters, all kinds of stuff. I always do the show with my mug. I sometimes have little added flavor into, like if I have a hot chocolate, there's a good chance there's going to be some Baileys in there. Good chance. Good chance.
That's a perfect opportunity to get a liquor sponsorship. Absolutely. Because there's probably not anybody else out there that's willing to promote it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. Let's go Bailey's. Yeah. If not you, I'll go somewhere else. I will certainly do that. So get on all that. And of course, Twitter/X at Broadcasting RI. Some mistakes were made with that. I couldn't figure out the password for.
Uh-oh. I've been there.
Yeah. So, and I couldn't get it sent to my email because I wasn't sure which email it was that I made it with. I don't know what the heck happened. I think I made it with like a Facebook thing. I don't know. So I couldn't recover it. So Broadcasting RI. There we go.
And how's the Instagram looking these days? Because I was, working on some of my own content. I wanted to, of course, cross-promote Rhode Island Broadcasting. So I went to tag Rhode Island Broadcasting on Instagram, and poof, speaking of dust in the wind, that account was dust in the wind.
Zucker took that one as well as the Facebook. So I've had to readjust, but it's actually worked out because, as a channel, we ended up getting a couple of series that have started. One started yesterday. A god named Pablo, pretty humorous. 5-minute episode. So check it out. I mean, you got to check that out. Wow. Also, a bunch of movies that we're going to be running on Saturday. Satterflix returns. Nice. So we've already got, I think, 4 or 5 movies slated to run for the next 5 weeks, starting Saturday, 6 p.m. Nice. So don't miss that. So yeah, so I got zucked. Good thing I had, another account for Rhode Island Broadcasting. That was probably the smartest thing I ever did. Mostly because they always seem to get us for something. It's all stupid crap. And they let so much scam messages,
Actual stuff. Yeah.
and then they take literally the last thing I said. It was in a chat with other board gamers, and I said I'm on my way to get bourbon chicken and then go into Untapped Games. Little shout out to Untapped Games for board games. And then like 10 minutes later, boom, count gone. Like, how is that bad?
I mean, it's not even like you could figure out somehow in there where the AI would be concerned. Is it bourbon? Is it chicken? Is it gay? I mean, it's not like, and I can see how AI could misrepresent, if you said, I'm going to beat your ass in a game today, and AI thinks you're really going to beat that person's ass. But with bourbon chicken, there is like no way to quantify how you got sucked.
Right. So I don't know if somebody, was on my account. I have no idea because it didn't explain anything. It just said your account is whatever. I don't know if it was banned or if it's suspended. I looked at it and I just knew, and it said appeal. The big blue, the rectangle with the white letters, appeal. So I clicked appeal. Now, for all I know, that might not have been a real message. Because I get a lot of those too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could have been that, and somebody just took my account. So, I don't know. I'm kind of discouraged. I had a lot of contacts on there. If not for sports, it was for movies, music, everything. Everything. Lost all of that. So, but we have recovered. And look, 13 minutes, we still haven't even gotten to anything.
Well, listen, I went through and invited 3,000 of my closest friends to the new Going On Daily Facebook page. So everybody do the same. Beef that up so we have some redundancy here, because you just never know when Zuck's going to pop his head out and say, no social media for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, that is the new thing. So we still have Rhode Island Broadcasting, and we still want you to follow there. But we also have the Going On Daily Facebook page as well. So get on there. I think we only need a few more people to post live videos on there. So we're really close on that. So get on there and help us out. Let's take this to another level. I mean, truthfully, if I had tons and endless money, I would actually buy Facebook just to fire. I would. If I had that money. So can start donating now. If you want to see Ron fire Zuckerberg, start donating now.
I think you might have a better opportunity to buy MySpace and fire Tom after all these years.
Yeah, but MySpace isn't really functioning. This is a new one that was modeled after MySpace. So Space Hey is pretty neat. I like it. So get on there too. All right, let's get into this. Again, season 2, episode 103, Dust in the Wind. Let's get this going. Health benefits of developing core strengths. And you don't mean abs.
Right. And that's why I specifically, and a lot of people refer to them also as signature strengths, but I even put in the show notes that I'm not talking about core as in hitting the gym and doing your Russian twists or anything like that. I'm talking about your core, your signature strengths. There's a bunch of assessments out there. Some of these assessments have just brought to light for me personally a lot of different things that I didn't know and I thought I knew. A lot of people like Myers-Briggs. I'm a little 50-50 on that. Personally, I like the DISC assessment, and the high five test is also free. So this conversation is kind of supposing that you already have worked through what some of your core strengths are, but there's a bunch of opportunities out there to take these tests for free and see what you have. For example, a lot of things I do.
High five test.
High five is a good one. And if you're like me and you're lacking in the attention span department, it's a pretty quick one to take. So some of the tests really do want you to spend a lot of time to reflect and think of things of the past. And it's, sometimes it's a money commitment and it's a time commitment, and not everybody has the opportunity to do that. With high five, you can get some great insights for less time and no money. So I'm cheap. So that's always a fantastic opportunity for me.
There we go.
And it was actually high five that brought out to me that I like or need a little bit of pressure, which is probably why when it's time to do this show, I am logging on at 9:58 when we start at 10 o'clock, even though I've been running.
Makes Ron real nervous.
Right? So when you do your assessment, you might be able to find you also like that little bit of pressure, that you actually thrive in that. I wouldn't have considered myself to be someone who thrives under pressure. Lifelong learning, I knew. Empathy and sympathy, I knew. Pressure, I didn't necessarily know. So this is, I guess, a little bit of a no duh, but it's cool to see the actual scientific research. So the new study, 577 adults, even just being able to use one of their top signature strengths decreased depression, and those effects lasted up to 6 months. And that was just utilizing one of their strengths. So if you're in a professional situation where you get to use a bunch of those strengths, that can be aggregated out to all kind of different health benefits, because it lowers your blood pressure. So that reduces cardiovascular issues. Of course, life satisfaction, reduces depression issues. And then from a professional standpoint, the team itself functions better if you're in a situation, you're not a solopreneur like me or a lot of other people that are working by themselves. But if you're in a team situation, those are also extrapolated out to the team, because everybody's feeling a little bit better, which leads to less depression, which leads to more productivity, which leads to everybody being generally happier and then more productive in the professional situation. So I thought it was great to see the actual scientific data between something that makes sense to us all, where if I'm using my core strengths, I'm feeling a little bit better, and then everything else is going to get a little bit better.
Okay, so this test that you take, the high five test. So what does it ask you?
It brings you through. I actually just clicked through right now the free version. So here's a pretty interesting question that they have as one of their free ones that you can take. I find it hard to accept someone's wishful thinking instead of thinking that's proven and grounded in facts. So I could see how that would extrapolate out. Are you a fact-based person, or are you a feelings and emotional-based person? And then you bring that to whatever team that you're working on, and now you know better how to interact with other people, but also the feedback that you're going to be looking for based on the results that you got from high five, specifically in that situation.
Very interesting. It's everybody wants to feel good, but not everybody knows how to.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems that this planet is going through at this point, because you have too many of those people that are leaning one way, in control of, say, most of the countries. And I'm not saying leaning left, leaning right. I'm just saying, out there somewhere, it's like they're almost borderline sociopaths. and it's tough when you're surrounded by people that just don't get you either. So I mean, it's on both ends, and there's a lot of misunderstanding between people, and it's good to see, if people are trying to better themselves. And believe me, I've gone through all kinds of stages in my life. Okay, I mean, I grew up in Somerset, little town. There was literally one person that was not white. One person. So I
Wow.
wasn't exposed to different cultures when I was a kid, you know. Now, with that being said, when I started working in Providence, that was a whole different setting for me. Now, I still didn't treat people any different, you know. It, it's bizarre because when you take your environment that you're working at and you're now living at, and then you start bringing it home to visit your parents and family, and they're still living in the way that they used to. That was always interesting. So it creates a clash, but most people can't handle that, and I don't know, it just all of this stuff makes me think about so many different things, and the toleration for for whatever it may be that doesn't sit well with you as a person. You now have to start get comfortable with that, and I think people need to better themselves as a whole all the time. I guess that's what basically I was trying to say. All
Yeah.
of that gobble.
We talked about it last time that I was on, and even if it's just a brief forte into it, trying to do something that is out of your comfort zone. And as much as we talk about AI here, and I like to have some fun about what some of the silly things coming down the pipeline are, AI is really going to be a situation where it increases productivity so much that people in a professional aspect are going to be able to do what they want to do instead of what they have to do, as far as just having a career to pay the bills, and you slog into this career for 30 years and you're miserable, and it's those days potentially are over for great swaths of the population that never would have had that opportunity before. So there is an opportunity to take assessments like this to really hone in what it is you want to do, and it's not going to be ever 100%. I largely work for myself, and there's 50% of the things that I have to do that I don't like and I don't want to do, but I have to do it. But there's going to be this increased opportunity to do what you want to do and really gain that satisfaction somewhere that you're going to spend 8 hours a
Right.
day.
It's a changing world, and unfortunately, a lot of people do get left behind. Because they can't adjust, they don't have the tools to adjust, or you know some other reason that is stopping them. Now, with personality traits and stuff like that, is there I don't know, is there a way that somebody could tap into maybe a different, I don't know, a different personality to just like change just like that? I mean, is that even possible?
I think what you're talking about is more of a mindset shift, which is, as much as I love the show, the movie, What About Bob back in the day, it really is those baby steps. You have to start slowly but daily. And Atomic Habits is, and I'm not trying to sell books here, but Atomic Habits is a great book that talks about those incremental baby steps that need to take place. Now, all of a sudden, you look back and say, wow, I am this new person. I shifted my mindset. It's not unlike what we're doing here, where we look down and say, wow, we're already 100 shows into this season. Well, there was one point where we thought it's time to start the season. And now we're looking back and say, wow, there's 100 shows. There's an archive. You can find all this stuff on YouTube. The mindset shift is very similar in that people start off that little tiny bit, that treadmill for 5 minutes a day. Then you realize I can do 15 minutes a day. Then you realize I can do 30 minutes a day, taking it back to fitness. But that's true with everything else. And me personally, I'm trying to cut back on this thing right here called caffeine, which I suck down in great quantities, and I need to stop if I don't want to end up with cardiovascular issues. And it really has just become for me cutting out one cup, cutting out another cup, then cutting out a drive-through. And it really is those baby steps. As cheesy and as basic as it sounds, it's those baby steps that lead to later on down the line.
Yeah. There's so many things that people work on. I mean, I constantly have to remind myself of things that I got to do. So my best thing is to I got this little calendar thing for the fridge. So it has like the calendar, and then it has like a clear, like a plain white surface, so you can write notes in and whatever. So now I have to put down on that, things that I need to do, so that way I never forget, or whatever. You just get busy and you just lose track of time, and then, oh, I forgot to do this today. So I put it on there, so every time I go to that fridge, you see it. It's like, okay, I got to do this today. I can't forget, right? And so that's just one of those little things that I started doing, because I know that I lose track of time. And then it's like, oh, I got to get ready for, this event or whatever. And, so it's all these things that compile, and people can lose track of time.
And that's a great example of the core strengths, because you and I love that. One of the top things that came up for me was problem solver, which came into the core strength domain of doing. And I started to think, I always have to be doing something. Even while we're sitting here doing this show, I have my mouse over here. I'm trying to get my notes straightened out. Yep. Every week when we do this, I want it to look a little better. So I'm fiddling with my lighting before it starts. You and I love that. I love to see that calendar up there like that. And also, even with that calendar, I'm standing out on the front stoop when it's time to leave the house, and I'm thinking, what am I forgetting? Do I have my phone? Do I have my wallet? Do I have my keys? Where am I going next? Even with all that, I'm still a little bit disorganized. But when it comes back to the core strengths, there might be someone who finds out that seeing that calendar there is completely overwhelming, and seeing the calendar, seeing it all written out like that, is going to paralyze them for the day. So maybe they need to put one thing up at a time. On Monday,
maybe
the key thing.
Maybe that's what's happening to my roommate, because he does nothing except for play video games all day.
Well, that's something.
I can't. Like, I feel like I don't like doing one thing for a long period of time. So I could not sit there and play 12 hours of video games. I can't do it. It's just not in me. After an hour, I'm like, okay, I got something else to do. I got to get this done. Yeah. And then I just go and do it. And like you said, you solve problems and stuff like that. I know I do this in the morning. I wake up early, and I was like, okay, I got to get ready for the show today. And then I go on my phone, I start watching, reels, or play a game on the phone. And then next thing you know, it's like 8:30, and I'm like, oh my God, I still got to do my topics. Did that today, by the way.
And that's last time I was on with JJ, we were talking about how I try to go offline from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Now, I sent my show notes this morning at 6 a.m. So there's an example of how I was very unsuccessful at that goal. See?
Yeah, I just, I like crunch time, and I've done it with the show many times where somebody wasn't able to make the show, and 15 minutes before we're supposed to start. Okay, so I need topics like right now. and then I do it, and I get the show's graphics done, and then I jump on, and it's like nothing, was wrong. And so when it does come to that crunch time is when, the pressure is on and stuff like that. And I am the first one to say, oh my God, I will complain all of that time because I have no time to get ready. But in fact, I actually enjoy it because, okay, it's like a challenge to me. Yeah. Let's see if I can pull this off. and then it gets done, and I don't fold under pressure.
And that's a perfect example of leveraging technology and how technology is going to change things. Because back in the day when I first started doing this, what I would do for show topics would I would grab this little newspaper called the Providence Phoenix, and I would look
Yep.
at events coming up in the Phoenix, and on the AM radio, we would talk about those. So it was quite a lengthy and a cumbersome process. Now we're able to get different topics to think of in less than a second.
I miss the Phoenix. I miss it. I thought that was such an excellent source for entertainment.
Yeah.
So if there's any entertainment out there in the area, it had it in there, and that was so great. Now it's like you kind of get overwhelmed with the
It's hard to
amount
curate.
of stuff
Yeah.
that's out there, and it's like you can't decipher what's good and what's not anymore.
Yeah.
So I miss the Phoenix. I do. Unfortunately.
Plus, they had the best adult section in the business.
Oh my God! With
I
all
think they
the,
had the
the
best because they had the only.
yeah, it is yesterday's OnlyFans, I guess. I don't know, but it's certainly, I love talking about all these things with personalities. There are so many personalities and the traits out there. You just hope that you have more good ones than bad ones, right? I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's got the negatives, of course. There's no exception to that. Everybody has their vices and their addictions, like you said before. You just got to try to make things better for yourself, really. I mean, you gotta that's the evolution of being a human. Try to better yourself every day.
And
You
the
know,
tools
it's
are
like
there more than any time in history. The tools are there for anybody that wants to
yeah,
do it, which is a fantastic edge of the technology.
yep. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about this more in the future. There's so many things. Like we're just like at the tip of the iceberg right now. I mean, there's still a lot to discuss on all of this stuff. So, but that was awesome, Tony. I loved it. We talked for a while about that, and you know, and that just goes to show you how important that subject is. But let's go. Let's talk about the box office. Let me tell you, the heat is on right now. Okay, you had Karate Kid just opened up this weekend. Did not take the number one spot.
Really?
No. Not only did it not take the number one spot, it didn't take the number two spot either.
Yikes.
So Lilo and Stitch won again, but it did drop almost 57% from week one. But this movie is cruising along. It is already the number 3 movie worldwide for this year.
Wow.
It's in its second week. I don't know if it's going to take that number one spot from Neza to $1.9 billion that it made. Of course, I'm a little skeptical on how much it actually made.
Hmm.
It was a Chinese movie. So I'm a little skeptical. I don't know. But Minecraft was also number 2, is at $948 million. So being at 613, I'm not so sure Lilo and Stitch is going to catch the other two. But for 2 weeks, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
good.
it was straight to the movie theater, right? There was no streaming option so far. You have to
Yeah,
physically
it's just
go to the
it's yeah, it's just theater. I'm not saying whether or not I can get it yet,
theater.
but I choose not to watch it right now. Just say that. It hasn't gotten great reviews.
Hmm.
So um, it it's no wonder why it dropped 57% from the first week, because word of mouth, not so nice.
Yeah.
So, number 2 was Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning.
Wow.
Uh, Still number 2. Made 27.2 million this week, as opposed to Lilo and Stitch's 61.8 million this week
Wow. Blowout.
domestically.
Hmm.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So Tom Cruise has lost to Lilo and Stitch badly.
And they're
But
probably the same height, so that's positive.
yeah, you might be right there. You might be right. Mission Impossible is right now the number 6 movie of the year with 353 million point seven. So it's number 6, still doing well. That's a pretty good haul. I don't know if it's good, if it's broken out even yet. I think it might have to be 400 million plus in order for that to happen.
Wow.
I think the cost of the movie was far exceeding, and the amount that they promoted this movie.
Yeah.
Oof. So I'm not sure they broke even yet. Karate Kid Legends did come in third, and it had 20.3 million domestically. So that's not too bad. I don't think it's where they wanted it to be.
They were out doing media heavy and just all the way down from the top star to background actors out there doing media this week. So sometimes that's not a good sign when they're going to double down on doing press junkets and stuff to kind of drum up some interest.
Yeah, they're trying to get that up there. I would think that they're going to hope to at least come in number 2 next week, but I don't know. It's still a 7 million gap. Karate Kid will have a drop, of course. So, and it's not going to get any easier because this weekend Ballerina comes out, and I'm going to see that one. That's from John Wick. It even has Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah.
So good. It's not going to do it. I think Ballerina might take that number 1 slot away. Maybe Lilo and Stitch can hold on, but Ballerina is going to be at least number 2. But finishing up with the top 10, Final Destination was 4, made 10.9 million. And then it was Bring Her Back. I have no idea, never saw what this is. Only made 7 million, so it's not doing well. That's brand new. Sinners dropped to number 6. Thunderbolts 7. Some movie Friendship is at 8. I have no idea what that is. Only made 2.57 million, so not many people know what it is. The Last Rodeo was number 9, and here's a great one. Number 10 was J-Hope with his concert tour, Hope on the Stage.
Wow.
Is it? I'm guessing it's Japanese. It's like K-pop, but only J-pop, I guess. I don't know.
It's interesting to see all that K-pop and J-pop stuff making so much money in a mass appeal like that. And I'm probably the biggest live music fan that you could think of. And I've tried to watch some of these live on theater streaming concerts, and I just can't get into it. And for it to break the top 10, that's surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, it only made 939,000. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's just a regular tour day for a live tour some places.
Yeah. So, looking at the list, like we talked about Lilo and Stitch at number 3, Thunderbolts is number 5 on the year. 369.9 million. It didn't seem like it did that great. But it's still in the theaters, and it does have a good haul. There isn't like big, huge stars in it or anything, so yeah. I'm sure they've made money on this movie. They had to have. Mission Impossible is 6 again, and Sinners is number 7, and Final Destination is number 8. So the movies this week that are out, 5 of them are in the top 8
wow.
for the year. So that just leads you to believe January through April, complete busts.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
And especially when you think about Mission Impossible being around since 1996, and the franchise just, it seems like it's one of those franchises that just keeps going and going, and you think people are going to start to lose interest, but just, it's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not, I mean, if you compare it to their other movies, like obviously because the newer the movie is, the more money it's going to make
Yeah.
because of the inflation prices, right? Now, I don't know if this movie would match up to all the others, per ticket. I don't know if it's going to
Yeah.
do that. But it is still putting up some impressive numbers, despite not even being number one. It's been number two both weeks, and it's still putting up impressive numbers. The problem is that the budget is so much, it's hard for these movies to make money. You got the star power in it. And Tom Cruise is not the only star in this movie. There are other people that demand some money, right? And then, the cost of the special effects, the promo, it's just making it much more difficult, And now I've seen 8 movies that came out this year so far, which is far less than I usually see. But, of those 8 movies, I think The Accountant 2 was the best one that I've seen. And yet that did horribly. It did not. I think it just barely cracked 100 million, which sounds like it's awesome, but it's not really that good.
Yeah. Well, when you think of the fact that Mission Impossible was 400 million just to make, that's chunk change in Hollywood.
Right. So I love The Accountant 2. So if you have an opportunity to see it, see it. Also Warfare, great movie. And down at the bottom, I have Last Breath and Falcon America, which they weren't bad movies. They just weren't,
nothing to write home about.
Right. So, but there was some great ones. I watched Novocaine the other day. Actually, it was really good. I loved it. Who knew? So, but Tony, what movies you looking forward to coming up?
I would have to say I might have to venture out for another Final Destination trip, just because to this day I think of things from the original Final Destination that make my skin crawl, and I'm afraid to drive behind big rigs on the highway. And that was back when they were coming out on VHS. So I'd like to think, again, another thing that seems like it's maybe a tired old franchise, but you can watch the older ones on the streamer and then head to the new one to see, could they possibly freak me out any more than they did back in the day?
I think I like those movies, as a whole, through the whole series of them, because it's not quite the same of a horror film. Like you watch Halloween, then you watch Halloween 2, and then it's like Halloween 3 is the same, but then 4, then 5. It's a little bit of the same. In Final Destination, yes, I get that it's the same, but yet every storyline is different, whether it's a roller coaster or a plane or whatever it may be. It's interesting how they put those into play. And I do like that, and I like Paranormal Activity too.
Yeah, that's a great franchise. Again, one that seems to keep going and going. But I think the thing with Final Destination too is, unlike a classic horror movie where you really can't possibly relate to Freddy Krueger coming out of your closet or Jason walking into your house, it's stuff that we all do and have been on roller coasters and have been in the
It,
car with the
it is
truck
a
in front.
normal day, right?
Right.
It's a normal day, and then something happens.
Yeah.
So I do like that. I plan on I'm not going to see it in the theater, but I will watch it once I have it on my program. Hasn't come out on my program yet, which is startling,
Wow. Yeah.
considering I have some newer movies that are.
And horror
So
movie fans are known for bootlegging stuff as quickly as possible, sometimes before it's even in the theater.
yes, yes, that happens quite a lot too, actually. Yeah. So like I said, I'm probably seeing Ballerina on Sunday. Gonna see with a bunch of friends, so everybody that likes John Wick can join us. Just I'll let you know where we're going, when we're going. Sunday, I think it's like 7:30. We're gonna see Ballerina. I don't know where though. Probably Attleboro. So, also Tony, I gotta see Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't care how many times they redo this franchise. I don't care. I'm going to see it because I like my dinosaurs. I think it's awesome. I love it. And it's got Scarlett Johansson in this one. So it's going to be different people. Same script, different people.
Same storyline. Yep. Again,
Just move to a
another one
different island.
another one that's tough to relate to. I don't think I found any dinosaur DNA while cleaning up the house, but uh, we know it's going to happen, but we still know it's going to be fun. And I think that's why people are going to head out to see it no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming July 2nd. Um I'm skeptical on Superman and Fantastic Four, but I'm probably going to go see them because I got to see it in the theater. I like the Fantastic Four. I find it hard to believe they're going to beat the cast that they had for the original.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it had Jessica Alba in it, so that goes without saying, you know. But I loved Michael Chiklis as the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fantastic. They couldn't have got a better guy. So, that cast was just superb. I'm a little skeptical because did you see that newer version that they put with all the younger people in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Parts.
that was awful. That was unwatchable.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried about that. And Superman, I'm worried about the AI thing. I'm worried that they do a lot of AI because the commercials that I see for it does not look real. A lot of
Not
it.
good AI. I mean, with that budget, why does it look like something that was made for cable access when I'm seeing the promos? It's how does
Yeah,
that
it
happen?
doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. And I still hate the dog. When did this dog appear? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, stop just inventing things to add into it because now you want a cute dog in it. You know, I don't know. And then he's got robots working for him. I don't know. But there are some other good movies that I'm looking forward to. Well, I don't know if they're good, but I'm looking forward to them. The
Potentially.
Ritual with Al Pacino.
Hmm.
Let's see if he still has his acting chops. Let's see. Also, The Bad Guys, the animated movie. The Bad Guys 2. I guess it has bad girls in it too. So I'm gonna check that out. I'm not gonna go to the theater watch it. I'm gonna watch it home. There's Shin Godzilla. I just saw this today. Shin Godzilla. I don't know if it's an actual like a movie. I think it might be like the other one that was subtitled
That's
a couple of
tough.
years
You know,
ago.
I'm a Godzilla fan, but those full subtitle, even the dubbing is tough on some of those. But when it's also just subtitles, it's a tough watch.
So, and then I didn't know that he had a new one either. Denzel Washington's got a new movie, Highest to Lowest. Have no idea what it's about, but it's got Denzel, so it can't be bad, right? Because like his movies are good.
especially with the amount of back taxes he needs to pay. This is a perfect opportunity for him to make some coin.
Come on. Come on. It's Denzel.
Yeah.
It's got to be good. It's got to be. Although, did you see the Gladiator 2? He
No.
was in that. I didn't watch that one because
Hmm.
and this is a little embarrassing for a movie fanatic. I never watched the first one in its
Wow.
entirety because I have fallen asleep on that movie 4 times. 4 times. I gave up after that 4th time. I was like, no, it's not for me, I guess. And that's supposedly a great movie. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see
That
it.
was my battle. That was my battle with Titanic back in the day. Now I'm talking about back in the day where Titanic came when you got it from the video store in 2 different VHS tapes. You had to stop at the end of one
Right.
part, put in the second VHS
Right.
tape, and that movie put me to sleep more times than I wish to count. And I'll just take the crib notes and maybe someday.
Yeah. Someday. Someday. I don't like the movie. There was plenty of room on that door. Plenty of room. All right. Summer TV rewatches. I didn't know what you were going to have on this list, so I just put some great shows. Is The Walking Dead. This is Dead City with these two. And then, of course, my favorite sci-fi, Stargate SG-1. And
Nice.
then way over there next to you is Friends. So I don't know what you're planning on doing here, but what is the summer TV rewatches?
So today is actually National Rewind Day, which celebrates the idea of things that you have watched or listened to or enjoyed on rewind all throughout the year. So I can think of songs that are in my heavy rotation that I have just listened to back to back for ages and ages. Some of them got me. I bought it on CD, then I got it on iTunes. Now I have it now on Spotify. They've gotten my money several times, but Friends is always a surprise to me because I'm at the gym and most of the other people at the gym are younger and they're still talking about Friends and that they're going to rewatch Friends over the summer. And that's so surprising to me. I couldn't get into it the first time.
That's on my list.
People love it for some reason. It really has been part of the zeitgeist all of a sudden, which is weird. So a lot of the rewatches coming up, of course, as we all know, the regular shows are going to go on vacation. There's not going to be a ton of new content out there. So it seems like what a lot of folks are doing are considering the shows that are going to be coming out later in the summer or in the fall, and they're rewatching some of the content. The Bear is the top one that people are going to go back. They're going to watch those seasons because Bear season 4, I can't believe it's on 4 seasons already. I think of that as a new show. That's going to start June 25th. So if you're going to do a rewatch on that and you're going to watch all of the other 3 seasons, you're going to have to start now unless you are like your roommate you talked about earlier and have nothing better to do.
Yeah, I just like when I binge watch something, I watch like a whole season that day or something. Obviously, nowadays there's only like 8 to 10 episodes in some of these series, so it's easy to do that. I just finished House, and that was 8 seasons. So I started that only a couple of months ago. So and I'm done with it. I finished it. And I'll talk about all that stuff. But yeah, I can understand, watching some of these that are coming up, and you have to go back and watch the beginning again. So I do that as well, just so I can put myself back into it, because you forget. I know I forget.
Yeah, especially if you're watching multiple things, and if you're someone that's a fan of a certain genre, they start to blur together a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
You have to have a strong stomach for this one. Squid Game's final season is coming out June 27th, so folks are going back and binging Squid Games. And I'm a Squid Games fan, and I'm not sure if that's a show that I can necessarily binge watch. Maybe I think my limit is maybe 2 episodes at a time, and it gets a
What is
little.
it even about?
It's interesting. So there's like a whole psychological aspect to it, but then there is just a ton of gore too, where they have a large group of people, and as you can imagine, as they go through these death situation like games, people quickly
So they are
get
games.
so they are games, yeah. And the grand prize is a ridiculous amount of money. So people with sketchy past, checkered past, that need a large amount of money to pay off gambling debts, or they owe money to the mob, or, and I won't ruin it for anybody. I won't get into the nitty-gritty for anybody that hasn't watched it completely yet, but there is a cool aspect of people with the checkered backgrounds and what exactly people will do for money when they have an issue like that to possibly remedy it with this huge paycheck at the end of the games. But the games do involve gladiator type situations, and the gore comes in where at the beginning where people are quickly eliminated and usually not in the nicest fashion. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's one I could watch altogether.
Yeah, I probably won't check that out.
And then there's a new
I did
season
like
of
Stranger Things.
Wednesday. Yeah, and they're
Wednesday,
going to
yeah,
be.
that's another one I'd like to see.
I think that's one where people kind of do, and they are shorter episodes. So I think people do, even if they aren't blessed with the largest attention spans, can sit down and kind of binge watch that quickly. So that new season is still to be announced, but they're saying it's going to be coming out sometime in July. So there's no time pressure on that one compared to the other ones.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
Well, personally, I am going to be starting to binge watch Law and Order Organized Crime because I just started watching it this season. This one stars Stabler from Law and Order SUV, but if you've watched anything by Dick Wolf, and I hope saying Dick Wolf's name doesn't get us zucked, but if you've watched anything by Dick Wolf, you can kind of see where the show is going and that it's going to be really good. But I just jumped on here in this 4th season, so I'm kind of going back, watching some of the older episodes, but then catching the new episodes when they come out. And now what I'm seeing in the new episodes makes a little bit more sense. So it is a fantastic series if you like that.
Probably take a decade to watch all the Law and Order series.
And when you get out to all the spin-offs, and some of the spin-offs have been going on for 20 plus years too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, SVU has been doing that. It's craziness. It's craziness. But that might not be returning. That might finally be done.
Which is sad to see. It's a really powerhouse franchise, but there's only so much that Dick Wolf can do, I guess.
I guess. So this brings me into, what's Ron watching? And I like to see a lot of different types of shows. I'm not confined to like one genre. So I watch a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just finished House, like I said. Chicago Fire, The Rookie, and Tracker just ended, last month. So those are all done. The older shows that I have started to watch again, of course, Stargate SG-1. It's going to be like my, 10th, 11th time watching it. so it's a series that I know by heart. So I could be doing something and watching that, and I don't really have to watch it, and I know what's happening.
And it's light on the CGI. They are requiring the old-fashioned rubber stick-on suits and plastic makeup back then.
Yeah, it does. It does a good job. I really think that's my favorite sci-fi. So I've watched that. I'm in season 3 right now already, because I will watch it all day once I start it. I also started Criminal Minds. And now I remember, I'm at the point where I remembered why I didn't want to watch it anymore. But now I'm kind of forced to, because I need to know how it ends, even though they just brought it back. So, There is no character development in this series. I'm on season 2 already, like mid-season 2, and everybody's the same. There is zero character development on this show. None. The story is the story of the killer or whatever, the psycho that they're going after. That's the story. Like I don't know any more in season 2, midway season 2, than I did in season 1, right at the beginning of the show, about these people. I don't know anything more except that Reed has a mother. That's all I know. That's it. That's the only thing I've learned in a season and a half of Criminal Minds.
See, and that's a similar show on Netflix called Mindhunter. I like that for the opposite because each episode they were dealing with a different but real life based on a true story psychopath or serial killer. So as you did see the stars develop, you also got a little bit of a glimpse into all these historic psychopaths throughout the years.
Yeah. Yeah. And the third one that I have started again is The Walking Dead for like the 10th, 11th, 12th time. I don't know how many times. I started immediately after I finish. But at this time I waited a month. So, but the new stuff, there is some good new stuff out there, people. Let me tell you. Just started watching Duster with Josh Holloway, Rachel Hilson, who is now in my top 5. Just saying. She looks good. She looks really good. Keith David, he's fantastic. And Corbin, I didn't even know it was him. Corbin Burnson. He's in this show. I didn't even know. I'm looking at the character. It plays Josh Holloway's father in the thing. And I'm looking, it's like, why does this guy look familiar? He looks familiar. Couldn't place it until I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my God, yes! So Corbin Burnson is in this from, Major League and some other things. But Josh Holloway plays Jim Ellis, who's basically a driver, and he does all kinds of errands for, the Kingpin, Keith David. His character, Ezra, who's not a nice guy, we'll just say. And he gets brought in as an informant, because the agent, Rachel Hilson, told him that Ezra killed his brother. So now he's an informant. So, and it's set in the 70s.
Oh, nice.
I love it. So it's like, okay, so here you have is this female black FBI agent who is not taken seriously by anybody, and she has to go and solve, the biggest case that the FBI has in the area. So it's really good. I mean, there's a lot of action in it. There's all kinds of things that goes on in this, and I love how I've only watched the first 3 episodes. That's all they released so far is 3 episodes. I just love how they've developed the characters in such a short period of time, and it seems like it could be a very, very deep, dark series, and I'm loving it. And the opening song is just spot on. Love it. They have it looks like little Matchbox cars, so they have the Duster, the red Duster that Josh Holloway drives, being chased by cops. It's a police chase, and they even go up like a loop track.
Oh,
how
nice.
they used to have the orange tracks.
It's probably still in my backyard somewhere.
Oh my God, I love the opening so much. It had me at that. That's what finalized it. I like Josh Holloway in Lost. He played a real son of a what.
Yeah.
But I loved him. I thought he was a great actor, and he's in this one, and his charisma comes out like it was in Lost.
Hmm.
Um, and I think this is a great series. People should check it out. The other one that I started watching, Nine Perfect Strangers.
Hmm.
I thought it was gonna suck. To be honest with you, I was like, all right, let me try this, so at least I can say I tried. It doesn't suck.
Really?
I think this show has just enough creepiness to keep you wanting to know what happens. I don't know if it's supposed to be, some sort of a weird, creepy movie. I don't know if it's supposed to be that, but that's the vibes I'm getting. And the cast is spectacular. I don't know how they're going to keep this cast on. I don't know how, because it has Nicole Kidman, Bobby Cannavale,
Wow.
Melissa McCarthy, Michael Shannon, who's fantastic. I saw him in that cult movie there. What the heck is it? I can't think of the name of it, but he was fantastic in that movie. And Regina Hall, Tiffany Boone, and Manny Jacinto. What a great cast! There's definitely others that are in this TV show. Fantastic. Like I said, it has just enough creepiness to make it really interesting, because it's almost like a therapy kind of place, but yet there is something going on. You feel it,
Mhm.
and it's not good. So I recommend it. The other one, The Studio with Seth Rogen,
Hmm.
has Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Ike Barinholtz. Um, he's running the studio. Seth Rogen, can you imagine?
Yeah.
He plays Matt Remick, and he's running a studio for Bryan Cranston. And it's pretty funny. It's Seth Rogen. Whenever you see Seth Rogen movies, it's just like that. It's just like that, but only at a studio. So, but I like it. It's pretty good. It's funny. You know, I mean, not like laugh hysterically funny, but it's pretty funny. It's got a nice story and stuff like that. So, you know, that's what I've been watching. Sound good?
My top one right now, and this is just kind of a lighthearted one, but at the same time also gives you a little bit of a view into the plight of someone who's a business person, especially someone who's attempting to have a farm in the UK, and that is Clarkson Farm. It's about, I want to say there's 3 episodes left in the series, and those drop on Thursdays. And that's one where I have watched the
Wait, what show
whole
is this?
series in real time. It's called Clarkson Farm, and it's about this retired race car driver who's starting a farm in Yorkshire in the UK, which just has these silly, ridiculous rules about how they can farm, about how they can do business, about how they can pretty much make any movement on the farm there. So it's interesting to see the plight, but it's also, he's a retired race car driver. He has plenty of funds to keep this going, but it's interesting to see the plight of people who are actually family farmers farming for a living and what they have to go through just to stay in business. So
Yeah.
it's lighthearted but interesting at the same time.
Yeah, so I'm going to check out that. I'm going to check out Mindhunter and The Bear. So I could be biting off more than I can chew, but I'm going to try those as well. Danny, no problem. Thank you for being here, of course. Danny, I gave Danny a prize for viewership because he's been watching, this show and Sports Unfolded. So,
Nice.
so I sent him out some LA Dodger baseball cards. So, little prize, you know. So, Danny's always here, so thank you so much, Danny. If you're out there, there's been a lot of great shows that debuted this year, and let me tell you, you probably want to check some of these out. I've watched all of these, and all of these were fantastic. Maybe for different reasons, depending on the genre. Adolescence, I watched that.
I've been
It's a
meaning to
limited
start.
series. They're talking about making a new season. But that first season, you only need to watch that one season, and it's fantastic. So by all means, check that out. Daredevil Born Again returned, right? And I loved it. I thought they did a really good job with the Daredevil series. So that's good. Paradise. Wow. This series blew my mind. Basically, this is post-apocalyptic. They made a city underground. Big surprise because I think it's probably actually real, but that's besides the point. So the president gets murdered, and I see now I'm in trouble now.
You just got us zucked.
Unbelievable. Can't have good things. So the leader of the country gets offed.
Has a bad day.
And so there's a big investigation and all that stuff, and what a great series that is. I can't wait for season 2. They better make one. On Call, police drama. Wow. Opening 2 minutes. Wow. It sets you up for an unbelievable series. Very, very violent, so be prepared. Great series though. The Madness, with the guy from Fear the Walking Dead. I don't even know his name, but he plays the black gay guy on Fear the Walking Dead, the one with the mustache and takes over and stuff like that. He's fantastic in this movie. I mean, this series rather. It's a 1-season series, and it only needed one because it's fantastic. You'll want to watch that, as well as The Penguin was great.
Yeah, I like that. And did you hear the rumor that the Penguin was loosely based off of Buddy Cianci from Providence?
I heard that rumor, and I believe it. I believe it. Western American Primeval, so good. It makes Yellowstone look like a trip to the zoo. Landman with Billy Bob Thornton, great as well. You got to see that. Can't wait for season 2. Zero Day with Robert De Niro, also fantastic. It's only 1 season, so you don't have to have a long commitment to it. And there was a kind of an interesting series, Population 11. It's almost like a comedy type drama thing, a dramedy. I thought it was pretty good. It was interesting. It was different. And then canceled was The Bondsman. Fantastic season 1. You do not have to have a season 2 for this, and it won't be a season 2 for it. But the first season is pretty good and self-sustaining. You don't need to have, it's not gonna be falling off a cliff kind of thing. So those are the ones you should check out. Let me know out there if you're watching something. Maybe I could check it out. You never know. So, Tony, I could go on and on. I could go on and on.
What a time to be alive.
Enough. Tomorrow, Tony, I'm going to be back here with Kenny. Well, I'm sure he's disappointed too. I didn't do a Ron's Top 5. No Ron's Top 5 today. I couldn't bring myself to do it because of the criticism from some of our hosts.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm just gonna let them tend to themselves because they have their top 5 stuff and they're not very good. So
maybe you could do a top 5 about how their top 5s aren't very good.
I can do a top 5s on
bad top 5s.
I could do that. But that brings us to the end, Tony. Brings us to the end.
Wow.
I think next week, though, you're going to be hosting somebody else. I might put Kenny with you next week.
As long as we don't get sucked between now and then, I'll be
Yeah,
here.
I know. I know. I know. But this the end of the show, so please check out all of our socials. There you have it. Facebook, Kick, YouTube, Twitch. You can see us live on all of those. And you can join in on the conversations on MeWe, TikTok, Blue Sky, Space Hey, Twitter, Twitch, whatever one you want to go to. Just go to all of those and join in. Tony, thank you for being here. Danny, thank you for being here as well. We had a bunch of people watching today, and nobody commented except for Danny.
But
There's a
listen,
lot of live viewers, double-digit live viewers.
even if you're watching this later, still leave that comment because I know I'll check it out. I know Ron, people from Rhode Island Broadcasting will check it out. We'll certainly willing to interact with you on any of these places. So even if it's a little bit later, even if it's weeks or months from now, still leave that comment. Let us know what you're doing.
Absolutely. You can find me here and all of those other social medias. And down at the bottom of there, you have Tony Jones, Twitter X at Tony Jones NRI. Where else can they find you, Tony?
Same thing across Facebook. Instagram's Tony Jones NRI, Tony Jones Show on Facebook. I'm on, just like Rhode Island Broadcasting, I'm on all of them, but not quite as many as Rhode Island Broadcasting. You can also find me on LinkedIn and yeah, I'm always looking to chat with you.
I'm not there.
You know, that's where all the big money sponsors are. So put that on that big calendar on your fridge to get us up on LinkedIn.
All right, I'll have to do that. Look, thank you everybody for watching, and all these people that are watching now, Tony, have been here throughout the whole show.
Wow, people with attention spans, unlike me.
I love it. So. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Be here for me and Kenny. It's always a circus when it comes to me and Kenny. So we'll see everybody tomorrow.